Turn the guitar down. Turn the guitar down a little bit. Thank you. Thank you.
Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Good morning, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. I invite you to take your seats. I invite you to find your seats. You can sit as close as you want, as close to the center as you want. If you're standing up, we greeting each other. Welcome, we're glad you're here. I invite you to take your seat now. We're about to begin. I want to make sure that everyone has a prayer book. In Hebrew, it's called a Siddur. And the prayer book says Mishkan Tefillah on the cover. There are many of them there in the pews. If you have a book next to you, in front of you, behind you, that says Mishkan Tefillah on the cover, will you please raise it high over your head so everyone can see what it looks like? Yep, thank you, Rabbi Timoner. Look around, thank you. Yeah, there are other books in the pews that don't say Mishkan Tefillah. We'll need those later. But we need the ones that say Mishkan Tefillah. And if you're looking for one and can't find one, we'll just raise your empty hand so that our wonderful greeters in the back can see your hand raised and they can bring you one. So everyone needs a book that says Mishkan Tefillah so we can follow along. And in the meantime, as we get acclimated to this space and this time, we'll sing some more. Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. These books open from right to left because they're mostly in Hebrew, which goes from right to left. So we open them now to page 192. Page 192, looking in the lower right-hand corner. If you have two sets of numbers in the lower right, we'll be referring to the ones in blue brackets. So again, looking in the lower right-hand corner of the book Mishkan Tefillah, page 192, and on that page you'll find words in blue, Ma Tovu. Ma Tovu, Ma Tovu, Ma Tovu, Ma Tovu. And if you're joining us via Zoom, there should be a link to a virtual version of this book for you to follow along. Ma Tovu Alecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael, Ma Tovu, Ma Tovu, Ma Tovu. Let's sing that two more times together. Ma Tovu, Ma Tovu. The middle of 192. Vani tefilati lecha, Adonai et ratzon. Elohim berov chasdecha, Aneni be'emet yishecha. Ma Tovu, Ma Tovu, Ma Tovu, Ma Tovu.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
It's so good to be with you this morning in our sanctuary. The words we just sang, Ma Tovu, are traditional words that Jews sing when we come into our sacred space. We compare our sanctuary to a tent, to the tents of Jacob, and we imagine ourselves sheltered in this space. The word sanctuary really does apply, like a space that's set apart from the rest of the world and the troubles of the world. And on Shabbat even, we imagine that we have a taste of the world to come, that we imagine that the kind of flavor of this day is like the world as it should be, the world as if it was filled with justice and peace, goodness and love, and all the things we wish for. So we're creating that space together this morning, and I say those words precisely. We are creating that together. This morning isn't a performance, it's not a show, you're not an audience. We're making something happen together. And so I want to tell you a little bit about this book you have to help you participate in making this happen. It's, as Cantor Breitzer said it's a siddur, a prayer book, and what we have is we'll be mostly praying in the Hebrew. But right next to the Hebrew, on every page, you'll find the transliteration so that you could join with us with every word if you want to, and we welcome you to do so. And below that, you'll see the English translation, and those that gives you a sense of what we're saying. And then on the left page, in most cases, what you'll find are poetic interpretations of the prayers, words that help you find a way in, because the idea is that we are making Shabbat together, and that idea is that we all need a break from the regular days of the week. We all need a day that's different. We all need a time when we can get in touch with what we're grateful for and what we love and what's good in the world and what brings us joy. And these words that we're going to be praying, whether you use the Hebrew or whether you use the English or whether you use the white space just to take some quiet for yourself, or whether you use the poetry, they're all about reminding us of what's good in the world, of what's beyond the headlines, which are troubling right now, really troubling right now. But there's also a lot else going on, and 6 days a week we apply ourselves to that troubling world, and we dig our hands in and we work to make it better. And 1 day a week we set aside to just breathe, to just remember what's miraculous, because being alive is miraculous and breathing even is miraculous. So feel yourself breathe this morning a little bit. Feel your body. Feel the breath coming and going in your body. Notice what it's like to be awake right now, what it's like to be alive right now. See if you can get in touch with that over and over again this morning as we sing and pray, as we find words of praise and wonder. Just come back again and again to that simple existence that is itself a miracle, being alive, something wondrous. We're going to continue now with gratitude for those bodies that we just touched base with, we just checked in with, just reminding ourselves that they are wonders. Even when they don't work perfectly, nothing ever works perfectly. It's okay, but there's so much working inside of you right now, so many systems functioning, enabling you to be conscious, enabling you to be sensate, enabling you to breathe, enabling you to digest, enabling you to sing. All of us here together, wonders, living wonders. So we're going to do that on page 194. We're going to be grateful for that. And then we're going to be grateful for just all the waking up things, like that our eyes opened this morning, that we were able to stand, that we were able to move, that we were able to notice that we're alive. That'll be our miracles of every day. And then we'll go into Psalm 150, which is our song. It really centers on the word hallelujah. It's just basically like, wow. It's basically like wow over and over again. We call in all the musical instruments, and mostly we'll just have our voices, but we're getting in touch with just that wow. Like, it is truly wondrous that we're alive. So that's how we're going to start this morning.
Page 194. I thank you for my life, body and soul. Hear these words, hear these words. Help me realize I am beautiful and whole. I'm perfect the way I am, and a little broken too. Up here, up here. I will live each day as a gift I give to you. Let's sing O together. I thank you for my life, body and soul. Help me realize I am beautiful and whole. Help me realize I am beautiful and whole. I'm perfect the way I am, and a little broken too. I'm perfect the way I am, and a little broken too. I will live each day as a gift I give to you. I will live each day as a gift I give to you. Let's get ready to sing Oh again. Here we go. Oh. Sing it a bit higher. Oh. And even higher now. Oh. The middle of 194. Baruch atah Adonai. Basar umafli la'asot. Baruch atah Adonai. Rofeh kol basar umafli la'asot. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lasech vivina lehavchin ben yom uben laila. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, pokeach ivrim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, matir asurim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, zokef kefufim. 200. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who stretches the earth over the waters. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who strengthens our steps. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who clothes the naked. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who gives strength to the weary. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who removes sleep from the eyes, slumber from the eyelids. 202. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani b'tzelem Elohim. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who has made me free. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, she'asani Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who girds Yisrael with strength. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who crowns Yisrael with splendor. We're now going to invite you to come just a bit closer. Physically, we're going to invite you to take your prayer book, take your siddur, stand up if you're able, and come right here, all the way around the lectern. Everyone in this space is invited at this time to take your book, come right up here. Let's get a bit closer together. We're going to sing some more. We're on 218. Feel free to move your bodies some more. Oh, 218. Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah, 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 El Bekodsho, hallelujah, El Bekodsho, hallelujah, Birkia Uzo, hallelujah, Vigburotav, hallelujah, Kerov Gulo, hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Sing a bit louder. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Beteka shofar, hallelujah,
ונבל וחינות, הללו בתוף ומחול, הללו במינים ועוגב, הללו, 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 הללו בצלצלי שמע, הללו בצלצלי תרועה, כל הנשמה תהלליה, הללו, hallelujah.
Listen to the space. Whisper.
Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah.
We often make that really loud in here, but you notice sometimes even being quiet, you can feel that wow even more, just a different kind of feeling. I want to take the energy we've built up in coming together and singing together and turn it into friendliness. I wanted to make this a really friendly space, so see if you can find somebody you don't know and introduce yourself and wish them a Shabbat Shalom. All right. Thank you for making this such a friendly place. Invite everybody to face Jerusalem, face the Ark. We're going to turn to page 224 and Chatzi Kaddish.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא תברח חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בהגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך, לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. 226 ברכו את אדוני המבורך Baruch Adonai HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. Please be seated, page 228. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Yotzei or uvorei choshech עושה שלום ובורא את הכל. Again, 228. ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, יוצא אור ובורא חושך, עושה שלום ובורא את הכל. One more time. ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, יוצא אור ובורא חושך, עושה שלום ובורא את הכל.
Please join me in the English in the middle of page 229. You are praised, who rolls out the rough, raw clay of the universe into delicate vessels of light. And from nothing at all, we could perceive in a world that is turned old, a shimmering new creation right before our eyes, made this moment just for us. How much of life reveals your presence? How much Torah unfolds from each new flower, from each new wave that breaks upon the sea. You are praised, who forms from the clay that cloaks our lives the delicate vessels which contain our light. Baruch atah Adonai, Yotzer HaMeorot. We come to page 230, we come to Ahava Rabbah. This is our prayer in appreciation of our capacity to learn. And the thing is, we have this ability as human creatures that we're just always adapting. We're always taking in new information and new ideas and growing that into us, and changing in response to what we learn. Sometimes we wish we could change a little bit faster to respond to the needs of our world, but we still, if we are patient, we notice that we do change. We do learn, we do expand, we do grow and deepen in wisdom. And so in this prayer, we might both express gratitude for that gift that's always with us, never ends, but also pray that we would delve into it more, that we would deepen maybe with greater focus, that we would attend in the way that we need to learn as we need to learn, to grow as we need to grow, to become what we need to become, to meet the challenges of our world and bring the love that we have in us into our world and into our lives. Page 230.
Adonai Eloheinu, Chemela gedola v'teirach amalta aleinu, ba'avur avoteinu ve'imoteinu, shebatechu v'cha, ba'avur imoteinu. ותלמדם חוקי חיים, כן תכוננו, תלמדנו המרחם, רחם עלינו, ותן בליבנו להבין ולהשכיל, לשמוע, ללמוד וללמד, לשמור ולעשות, ולקיים את כל דברי תלמוד תורתך באהבה, בהערננו בתורתך, בדבק ליבנו במצוותיך, ויחד לבבינו לאהבה וליראה את שמך, ולא נבוש ולא ניכלם ולא ניכשל לעולם ועד, כי בשם קודשך הגדול והנורא בטחנו, נגילה ונשמחה, נגילה ונשמחה בישועתך. Near the bottom of 230. ואבינו לשלום מארבע כנפות הארץ, ותוליכנו קוממיות לארצנו. כי אל פועל ישועות אתה, ובנו בחרת, וקרבתנו לשמך הגדול. סלע באמת להודות לך ולייחדך באהבה. ברוך אתה אדוני הבוחר בעמו ישראל באהבה. שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד. 232. שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד. שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד. שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. 234. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם המזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Page 240.
כמוך האלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות עושה פלא, שירה חדשה שיבחו גאולים לשמך על שפת הים, יחד כולם הודו והמליכו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
We rise if we're able.
צור ישראל קומה בעזרת ישראל, ופדי נאומך יהודה וישראל. גואלנו אדוני צבאות שמו, קדוש ישראל. Ay, 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 ay,
about to head into the tefillah, the amidah, the central standing prayer of our service. I just want to say for those ready to clap and be with the spirit of the music, I am so with you, and we will again. But today we are being aware of those with sound and noise sensitivities and trying to be a little bit more subdued and a little quieter in the way that we're leading our service. It's not that I'm not with you in spirit, I am, and we will. There are days when we are loud in here, and today's a day when we're a little quieter in here. So the tefillah, the amidah, as our central prayer, we come. The idea and the tradition is that we kind of come face to face with God, and we approach God by introducing ourselves as the descendant of the people we're the descendant of. Our parents and our grandparents and our great-grandparents and all the generations. We introduce ourselves to God in that way, reminding ourselves and maybe God where we come from, who we belong to, the people who came before us, who said these very words, the people whose legacy we carry. And then in the third prayer, we sing Ledor Vador, from generation to generation, as we imagine that not only are we the descendants of those who came before us, but we're also the ancestors of those who are yet to come. As we pass Torah today to a new generation, we think of ourselves just in that stream of generations, carrying the legacy of our parents and grandparents and passing it on to our children and grandchildren. We start by asking God for help finding words on page 242.
שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Adonai, 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 Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el hagadol hagibor ve'hanora, El Elyon gomel chasadim tovim ve'konei hakol, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן ברוך, אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. 246, אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה מתים אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישוע ונאמן אתה לחיות מתים. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי המתים. 248, מקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה, ואמר קדוש, קדוש, קדוש אדוני צבאות, מלוא כל הארץ כבודו. Adir, Adireinu, Adonai, Adonenu, Madir Shimecha Bechol Haaretz, Baruch Kevod Adonai, Mimekom Bo, Echad Hu Eloheinu, Hu Avinu, Makeinu, Moshienu, Vehu Yashmienu, Berachamav Leinei Kol Chai, Ani Adonai, Elohechem, Imloch Adonai Leolam, Elohai Zion, Ledor Vador, Hallelujah, Ledor Vador, Ledor Vador, Ledor Vador, Nagid God Lecha, Ledor Vador, Ledor Vador, Ledor Vador, Nagid God Lecha, Ulenetzach Netzachim, Ulenetzach Netzachim, Kerushatecha, Nahaktish, Teshivchacha Eloheinu, Mitinu lo Yamush, Leolam Evaed, Ledor Vador, Ledor Vador, Ledor Vador, Nagid God Lecha, Ledor Vador, Ledor Vador, Ledor Vador, Nagid God Lecha, Baruch Atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. We continue silently, each in our own time, through page 261, using the words of these pages, the words we find within ourselves. When we have each finished, we may be seated. Turn to page 252. And at this time, I would like to invite up all of our third and fourth and fifth graders. Bring your siddur. Come right up here, around the lectern. If you're in third grade or fourth grade or fifth grade, Yachat students, come on up here. I also want to make note of the fact that there is a shalom space in the back. people who need a bit more shalom this morning if you're in Yachad, but if you feel comfortable, come on up here, bring your siddur, bring your prayer book. We're going to turn to page 252. Rabbi Timoner was talking just a little while ago about how each Shabbat feels different, even though we may be in the same space after so long, coming back to the sanctuary week after week. The way it sounds isn't always the same. Sometimes we sing loudly, sometimes we clap loudly, sometimes we sing softly. Sometimes the melodies for our prayers sound one way, sometimes they sound a different way. On page 252, we take a look at this prayer, which we don't do very often, but which is all about making Shabbat holy. One of the ways that we can make Shabbat holy each and every week is how we use our voices. We're also thinking, of course, our brothers and sisters in Ukraine right now. And so the particular sound of this prayer I'm going to use this morning, this prayer, this melody was actually written by a cantor who was born in Ukraine more than 100 years ago. And the way that he understood these prayers to sound was all about how you used your voice and picking notes that sounded good. So it didn't just have to be the cantor singing, but it could be everyone singing, even if they picked whatever note that sounded good. So I'm going to sing this prayer on page 252, and I'm going to pause every so often. And when I do, I want you to choose a note that sounds good. Does that make sense? Yeah? Thumbs up? This applies to everyone, of course, even if you're not in Yachad. Choose a note that sounds good. Page 252. Eloheinu, Elohei Avoteinu, Ve'imotenu, Retzei, Retzei, V'menuchatenu, Kadeshenu b'mitzvotecha, v'tein chelkeinu b'toratecha, sabeinu mituvecha, v'samecheinu b'yishuatecha, v'taher libeinu le'ovdecha, le'ovdecha, le'ovdecha והנחילנו אדוני אלוהינו באהבה וברצון שבת קודשך וינוחו בה ישראל מקדשי שמך ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש Shabbat. Can we sing Amen? Yasher Koach, that was so beautiful. Everyone, thank you so much for singing. You can go back to your seat.
You know, even if you found that to be difficult, I found that to be difficult to join with those sounds, but perhaps others did not. But even if you found that to be difficult, what I love about that moment is that I want our third and fourth and fifth and sixth and all graders to feel like this is your space. You belong right up front here as much as anybody else. And you can feel comfortable right here in the front. We are in a moment going to be turning to our Torah service. I'm going to take the Torah out of the ark and hear it read and all those things. And we even have another moment before that where we're going to have our bar mitzvah. Jude is going to receive his talit. But before all of that even, we have greetings and announcements from our president, John Horowitz.
Shabbat Shalom. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I want to welcome you all this morning, those of us who are joining us here in the sanctuary in person and all of us who are joining us virtually as well. A special welcome to all of Jude's family and friends joining us this morning, and Mazel Tov to Jude on this special day. As well, I want to say mazel tov to Erica Berman, who's having her bat mitzvah right after the service. As a point of note, Kiddush will be in the social. Kiddush will be in this. Thank you. Kiddush will be in the social hall this morning, so we can get the sanctuary ready for the bat mitzvah. As always, for giving me clues on where meetings are happening and for leading us today, I want to thank Rabbi Timoner. I want to thank Cantor Breitzer. I want to thank Mark Flaxer and his staff as well for everything they do for us each and every day. I want to thank Karen Gerwin for supporting us in person, Gabby Severansky for providing sound and online support, and David Adelson and Katie Gumpert for greeting everyone as they entered the sanctuary. Thank you to you all. And I have two announcements. Purim is right around the corner. Our first celebration is this Friday, March 11th, following Shabbat services. There will be drinks, nosh, a klezmer band, and of course, a Purim spiel. Purim itself begins Wednesday, March 16th, and the greater Jewish community will gather at CBE for Megillah across Brooklyn. We'll have services and Megillah reading in the sanctuary, followed by another party for adults. On Sunday, a week from tomorrow, March 20th, we're having a special Megillah reading for kids, followed by a costume parade throughout the neighborhood. Please visit cbebk.org/Purim for more details. And for the adult parties, we do ask that you purchase tickets in advance. Second, the CBE Dismantling Racism team is hosting a screening of 13th, Ava DuVernay's 2016 Academy Award nominated documentary. You can join members of the CBE community to watch the film and discuss it in small groups. That'll be that'll be a week from Thursday, March 24th at 7 p.m. in the CBE ballroom. The link to register is in the advisory and on the website. You can find more information about this and everything that we do at CBE on our website, cbebk.org. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you so much, John. All right, so we are ready now for a special moment. As I mentioned, Jude is going to be, who's becoming bar mitzvah today, is going to be receiving a talit from his grandfather, Edward Wax. So I invite you to come forward, both of you, and come right where you can be seen.
We're also going to need Jude's binder at this time. If you could give me Jude's binder, please. Thank you.
It's okay.
That's okay. This looks like such a beautiful talit. Wow. This was your original talit.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Right. So, yep, he's ready. So you're going to go ahead and give that to Jude, and then he'll say the blessing and put it around his shoulders. First, he's going to hold it in his hands. I'm going to let him hold it in his hands. Great. And then, Jude, you're going to say the blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher tishnayim v'mitzvotav, v'tivanu v'kitatef b'tzitzit.
Amen.
All right, now we're ready for the Torah service. And so that's going to be on page 362. And we're going to need Ann and Nick Stahl, Jude's grandparents, to help us open the ark. And then when Jude's got the Torah and after he chants Shema, we're going to invite Vivian, his sister, and Ella, Sasha, and Jonah Wax, his cousins, to follow him around the sanctuary. I ask everyone to please rise.
Ein kamocha v'Elohim Adonai, ve'ein kema'asecha, malchutecha malchut kol olamim, u'memshaltecha bechol dor v'dor. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai imloch leolam va'ed, Adonai oz le'amo yitein, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Av harachamim heitiva virtzonecha et Zion. Tivneh chomot Yerushalayim
בירושלים, כי בך לבד בטחנו, מלך אל רם ונישא, אדון עולמים. Page 364. כי מציון תצא תורה, כי מציון תצא תורה, ודבר אדוני מירושלים. 366. ברוך שנתן תורה, תורה, ברוך שנתן תורה, תורה לעמו ישראל בקדושתו.
Hello. Right. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shmo.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo.
Gamlu Adonai Iti, Romema Shemo Yachdav.
Lecha Adonai hagedula והגבורה והתפארת והנצח וההוד, כי כל בשמיים ובארץ, כי כל בשמיים ובארץ. לך אדוני הממלכה והמנשא לכל ראש. רוממו, רוממו, רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו. רוממו, רוממו, רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו, כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו. על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים העולם עומד. על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים העולם עומד. על התורה ועל העבודה ועל גמילות חסדים, על התורה ועל העבודה ועל גמילות חסדים.
All right, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
We are on the very last Torah portion in the book of Exodus, second book of the Torah, on Shabbat Pekudei. And we are going to be reading from Exodus chapter 38, starting at verse 21. So if you've got those Torah commentaries, you can find Torah commentaries there in your pews, next to you, in front of you, somewhere there. You're going to be looking at page 628 to be able to follow along with our Torah reading this morning. And first, we're going to invite Cyrus Ginsburg to come up and chant Torah. And I'd like to invite anybody who thinks of themselves as a CBE Shabbat morning regular to come up for the Aliyah. You could be any age. You'd be somebody who just comes here regularly. You're invited up for this first Aliyah.
יעמדו כל חבר'ה שבת בבוקר לעלייה לתורה. Does it first.
You can come a bit closer. You can come all the way around if you'd like.
Amen. Ele Pekudei Hamishkan, Mishkan Ha'edut, Asher Pukad Al Pi Moshe, Avodad Hadvi'im, Biad Itamar, Ben Aharon HaKohen, Uvetzalel, Ben Riven Pur, Lemate Yevodah, Ahasa et Kol asher tziva Adonai et Moshe be'ito Ohoria ben Achisamach lemateda Harash v'choshev ve'rokem b'antechelet uva-argamim uvetolat hashani uvoshesh.
Amen.
We just heard hold on one second, we just heard the words, we just heard about Betzalel and Oholiab who helped to build the Mishkan, the dwelling place for God. We're going to hear in a moment about how everybody was invited to participate and contribute, and each of you who come on Shabbat morning, even if you're not at the front of the room, everybody in the room, everybody who comes and participates, helps to build the holy space for God. Yishaberach Avotenu v'Imotenu, may the one who blessed our ancestors bless each of you as you come each week or often to help make this holy space. May you feel blessed by being here and being together.
Thank you, Cyrus. Was this your first time chanting Torah in person with a scroll? No. Okay. You became bar mitzvah recently, though.
Yeah.
Under Zoom auspices. We're glad you're here on Shabbat
Yasher
morning.
Koach. Right. Now we're going to invite forward Jude's grandfather and great aunt and Jude's aunt, uncle, and cousin, Edward Wax and Sue Colben and Sarah, Greg, and Ella Wax to all come up for the Aliyah, and Cantor Breitzer's going to chant.
Yamdu kol koim Shabbat ha-mitzvah l'aliyah la-Torah. I'll be continuing from verse 24, Exodus chapter 38, verse 24. Baruch Adonai mevarach leolam vaed.
Baruch Adonai mevarach leolam vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Kol הזהב העשוי למלאכה בכל מלאכת הקודש, ויהי זהב התנופה 29 כיכר ו730 שקל בשקל הקודש, וכסף פקודי העדה מעט הכיכר, ו1,775 שקל בשקל הקודש, בקע לגלגולת מחצית השקל בשקל הקודש, לכל העובר על פקודים מבין 20 שנה ומעלה, ל603,550.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'chokenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Shekoach. You're invited to stay right here for a little while.
And now we're going to
Right over
invite
here.
Jude's
Stay
parents,
here.
Len and Melissa, to come up for this Aliyah.
Yamdu Avrim Shabbat HaMitzvah L'Aliyah LaTorah. I'll be continuing from verse 27.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Mevorach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Vaed. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Hamim. V'natan Lanu et Torato. Baruch Ata Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Vayehi me'at kikar hakesef latzeket et adnei hakodesh ve'et adnei haparochet me'at adanim limat hakikar kikar la'aden ve'et ha'elef u'shva me'ot v'chamisha v'shiv'im asav avim la'amudim v'tzipar ראשיהם וחשק אותם ונחושת התנופה 70 כיכר ו2,400 שקל.
Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech Olam Asher Natan Lanu Torat Emet V'Haye Olam Nata B'Tochenu Baruch Ata Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. We're going to invite everyone to stay here for just a little while longer as we prepare to call Jude to the bar mitzvah by his Hebrew name. Ya'amod, 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 b'chur bar mitzvah Ephraim, ben Rachel Miriam belen aliyah laTorah, chazak ve'amatz.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach. Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Vaed. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Hamim V'natan Lanu Torat et Torato. Baruch Ata Adonai Noten HaTorah. Vayas Baruch et Adonai Petach Ohel Moed Ve'et Mizbach HaNechoshet Ve'et Mikbar HaNechoshet Asher Lo Ve'et Kol Kelei HaMizbeach Ve'et Anei Chatzer Saviv Ve'et Anei Sha'ar Chatzer Ve'et Kli Tedot HaMishkan Ve'et Kli Tedot HaChatzer Saviv ומן התכלת והארגמן בתורת השני עשו בגדי שרה נשרת בקודש ויעשו אשר אהרון בגדי הקודש אשר אהרון כאשר ציווה אדוני את משה. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Natan Lanu Torat Emet V'Chaye Olam Nata B'Tochenu Baruch Ata Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Yashakoah.
Yashakoah. So just in case anybody doesn't know this, when somebody does something great in a synagogue, we all say Yashakoah.
Yashakoah. Have a seat.
All right. With the Torah in our midst, we always stop for a moment, take its presence as a source of strength, and think about the people we know and the people we love who need healing. So I'm going to invite you, if you're thinking of someone who needs healing, who needs strength, who needs maybe hope, to say their names out loud in a moment. First, we're going to, on page 371, we're going to say Misha Berach together, and we'll pause in the middle, and I'll invite you to say out loud any names of people you're thinking about, and then we'll pray the rest of the prayer together.
Misha Berach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen.
Praying for the following people we name now.
Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We're ready now to lift and dress our Torah. We invite Jonathan Spear to be our Magbia and Andrea Sunachan to be our Golelet. We all please rise.
Page 370 in your prayer book. וזאת התורה ששם משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה. תורה, 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 ציווה לנו משה. תורה, 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 ציווה לנו משה. Torah, 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 ציווה לנו משה. Torah, 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 ציווה לנו משה. מורשה קהילת יעקב, מורשה קהילת יעקב, מורשה קהילת יעקב, תורה ציווה לנו
All right, so some sweetness is making its way around, just letting you know what that is. That is not for eating right now. That is going to be for making a very gentle shower of sweetness upon our bar mitzvah when he's finished reading, chanting Haftarah. He's going to be chanting from 1 Kings chapter 7, starting at verse 51. You're going to look at page 637 in your Torah commentaries to be able to follow along. He'll be offering the blessing before and after, in addition to chanting from 1 Kings.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nvi'im tovim v'ratzav b'direhem hane'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai abacher b'torah u'Moshe avdo u'Yisrael amo u'nvi'ei ha'emet Vatzedek, Vatishnom Kahamlacha, Asher Asa, Chamel Shlomo, Beit Adonai, Vayaver Shlomo, Et Kol Asher David Aviv, Et HaKesef Et HaZhav, Ve'et HaKelim, Natan, Ve'otzarot, Beit Adonai, Az Yakel Shlomo, Et Ziknei Israel, Et Korashei Hamatot, Et Ze'eh Havot, Yibnei Israel, Echamel Shlomo, Yishanayim, Ve'harot Et Aron, Beit Adonai, Meir David, Hitzion, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Zor kol ha'amim, Tzadik b'chol hadarot, Ha'el ha'ne'eman, Ha'omer ve'osech, Ha'medaber u'mekayim, Shekol devarav v'mitzvat tzedek, Al ha'torah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al ha'nevi'im b'yom ha'shabbat hazeh, Shenatat lanu Adonai Eloheinu, Nikdushav mincha v'chavod u'tifaret. Al kol Eloheinu, Anachnu modim nach, Umbarchim otach, Yitbarach Shemha, V'hi chol chai, T'min li'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai,
Baruch Shemo,
Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Amen.
Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov, Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov, Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov, Yehelanu. Pick it all up. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulecho Yisrael, Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulecho Yisrael. Yisrael, Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulecho Yisrael. Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov, Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov, Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov, Yehelanu. Wow, we haven't had a full Yachad contingent present to help pick up the candy. That was very impressive.
Very efficient. And it was even a gentle shower, which I did not expect. Well done.
Yachad students, you're in for such a treat. Shh. As you find your way back to your seats, you have about 10 more minutes until you're dismissed to class. And so what that means is you have an opportunity to hear Jude teach us some Torah.
Yep. And he's going to do it in multiple formats. You don't know what that means yet, but you're going to find out. It's not just spoken word, right?
Don't ruin the surprise.
I'm not ruining the surprise. Not ruining the surprise. Okay.
My parsha talks about the construction of the tabernacle and describes in rigorous detail the preparations necessary. It talks quite a bit about Aaron and his role in this. It also describes Aaron's clothing in much detail. One detail I thought was interesting about Aaron's clothing were the bells that were near his feet hanging from his tunic. I wondered what the meaning of these bells were. According to Jacob Zvi Mecklenburg, a 19th century German rabbi, the bells represent his responsibility and serve as reminders to keep up with those responsibilities. I don't think it would help me remember my responsibilities. It would just irritate me, but hopefully it worked for the priests. He's Kuni, a 13th century French rabbi, I'm sorry if I pronounced that name wrong, teaches that the bells were there to alert the Israelites that it was time for the service to begin. This reminds me a lot of my alarm clock because it makes a long sort of bell-esque noise. It doesn't sound anything like a bell, but it has a similar purpose to a bell. Well, I don't think the bells would be good to remind me of my responsibilities. If I were a high priest, I do think it would be good to tell people that the service was starting. It would be a way to notify and alert everyone. Rashbam, a French rabbi from the 12th century, says since the high priest is the only one who may be present when performing the ritual of atonement, the bells chime to signal to others that they must leave the sacred space. I think this is an efficient way to get people to leave. People hear the sounds, it signals to them they have to leave. It's good, again, as a notification. Okay, so there's only one question left. Why? Why does this all matter? One reason why it matters, at least to me, is because the bells are, in their very nature, musical instruments. Ever since I was, I think, 5, I've always had a general grasp that music and chanting was very important to Jewish ancestors and a lot of Jews today, but I didn't really stop to think about smaller details. I was surprised that there were so many different interpretations of these bells. I think that played a pretty minor role in the whole grand scheme of the Torah, which is definitely a testament to the extremely large scope of Torah and Judaism in general. And somebody who is quite a lot of ties to music myself, I thought was really fun and interesting learning about my ancestors and their connection to music. And speaking of connections to music, I'd like to play you a bit of
Yasher Koach, Jude. My understanding is we have about 5 minutes until Yachad's dismissed, so I think I need to start my Devar Torah. Maybe I'll figure out some way. Maybe I'll only speak for 5 minutes. Let's see if I can do that. So Jude, you talked to us about the bells on the tunic, on the trim, on the tunic of the high priest, and what were they about? And you brought us multiple commentaries from rabbis of previous generations who had ideas about what these bells were about. And one was from Jacob Zvi Mecklenburg, who talked about the idea that maybe the bells were to remind the priest of his responsibilities. And you brought us Chizkuni, whose name you pronounced perfectly, who talked about the idea that maybe the bells were meant to be alerting everybody that, wow, it's time for the service to begin, like kind of like an alarm clock or like an alarm bell. And I want to point out that in the time of the tabernacle, the priest's bells were just one kind of sensory experience. There were actually a whole range of sensory experiences that were happening simultaneously. They had the smell of incense and the smoke from the altar. They had the touch of putting their hands on the heads of their animals. They had the sight, the lights of the menorah, the colors of the thread that we read about today, the precious metals and stones. They had the taste, actually, of the sacrifices. We won't get into that so much, but they did. Today, in the way we've kind of made our version of that, we've actually focused a lot more on sound than on any other sense. We have here the beauty of our sanctuary, what we can look at for sure, the windows, the lights. We can see the Ner Tamid, the eternal light. We can see the ark with the beautiful Torahs in it. We don't have so much in the way of smell. We don't have so much in the way of touch, though you did carry a Torah scroll today. So I hope some of you are tasting the sweet candies. That obviously is a traditional part of Judaism. And afterwards, we have a Kiddush where we also get to taste. But most of our investment is in sound. Our animal sacrifices have been transformed into what we think of as the sacrifices of our lips, the words of our prayers, and those are almost always said in the form of song. And our Torah isn't just read, it's chanted, as you did beautifully today, according to a trope system that isn't in the scroll itself, but that has to be memorized along with the vowels and the punctuation. But we turn our words into music often in the way that we come together. And then even your Devar Torah today, Jude, was both words and music. And I want to think about that, about how much we've invested in sound and what that's about and how we can use sound and how sound affects us. And when we get to the time to dismiss the kids, maybe someone will wave from the back because this is not going to be less than 5 minutes. So what can we learn about how to effectively use sound, given that we've boiled down most of the other sensory experiences to sound, and that's mostly what we use to move each other and to try to be moved. So Ramban said about these bells that they were about reminding the high priest that he was primarily about service. That in the court of a king, it was actually only the servants who came in sounding a bell. The monarch never made a sound. They didn't have to. It was the servants who did. And so that sound of the bell is to remind the priest, no matter how exalted his position was, he was primarily a servant. And we all, no matter how important we are, as Jews, we are always primarily about service to something greater than ourselves. That's what one of the things Ramban had to say about this. Chizkuni's idea about the alert and the alarm connects to a teaching in the Zohar in which the sound of the bell, kol, which is the word for sound or voice, is likened to the sound of the shofar, in which the shofar, is meant to wake us up to our sins and wake us up to the call of the moment, what we need to do, how do we need to act. And we often use words, I often use words in this space, use shaped sound, which is words, to raise alarm. I'm often doing that here, trying to say to us, wake up, wake up. I'm trying to ring the bell when there's a crisis, ring the bell of crisis, move us into action. And I would say that I think, given the moment we're in right now, and I said at the beginning we were going to focus on the wholeness and the goodness in the world, but I must say, and Cantor Breitzer did also, we are in a moment of crisis in the world. We're in a moment of crisis in the world, and the bell has been ringing. The alarm bell has been ringing, and we can use words, or we can use bells, or we can use other forms of alarm, but the sound has been ringing. The Ukrainians have been trying to tell us for a long time that they're in danger, and for at least a week we've been seeing the destruction. And there is a limited impact of the sound of alarm on humans. We know this. We've had a much longer crisis that's been going on. We have many crises that have been going on, but one much longer is the climate crisis. How, since the 70s, people have been ringing the bell. Wake up, change your ways, wake up, change your ways. I certainly have been doing that from this exact spot. Many people have. It doesn't always work, the sound of an alarm. It's not that it doesn't have effect on us. We hear the sound of the bell ringing, and we don't know what to do about it a lot of times. We don't know how to change what's happening. We don't know how to respond effectively. Certainly right now, we're watching in slow motion, fast motion, we're watching helplessly as Ukrainians are being attacked, and just watching, unable. Maybe we do, I hope, give aid to refugees. I hope give aid to Ukrainians directly. But what can we do right now as we hear the bell of the alarm? It has limited effect. And sometimes what that can happen over time, when we hear the bell ringing and ringing and ringing, and we don't actually have effective action, it can make us feel helpless. It can make us believe that we're powerless, and it can make us feel that we must not really care. Because if we really care, we do something. And we can falsely take on the idea, well, we must not really care, and then start to ignore the bell. We go on with our lives because we just don't know how to effectively respond to the sound. And I want to point out something about the priest's hem, which I think can get us out of that idea, which is that it wasn't just bells on the hem of the tunic, but the bells were interspersed. In between every bell, there was a pomegranate, a golden pomegranate. So what was that about? So one of the ideas in our tradition in the Talmud is that everybody is like a pomegranate. Talmud says even the sinners among our people, even the worst people are like a pomegranate. In what way? That they're full of mitzvot. They're full of the potential of good action. Even if they don't think that about themselves, even if they think, you know what, I'm actually not somebody who does that much, I'm not somebody who is so good or whatever else. Every one of us is full of seeds that can become good action, that can bring love into the world, that can be action that responds to the moment. Every one of us, even if we're not aware of ourselves in that way. And there's a Hasidic story that someone came to a Hasidic Rebbe, and said, you know, I'm not so comfortable with this teaching in the Talmud that even the sinners among our people are full of mitzvot. I don't really think I believe that, and I don't like this teaching. And the Rebbe said, I also don't like this teaching, because given that everyone is full of potential mitzvot, why would we ever call them sinners? It's a beautiful story, and the idea that all of us have this good inside of us. All of us have this desire to care and to act and to make it better. Every one of us would want to stop what's happening in Ukraine. Every one of us wants the world to be better than it is. Every one of us wants to reverse the climate crisis. Every one of us wants to use our hands and our voices and our hearts and our love and our action to make the world what it should be. And there are real limiting factors on us, but it also doesn't mean that we don't care, and it doesn't mean that we can't actually find a way. We just have to keep trying. We just have to keep believing that we are full of these mitzvot, that we are full of these seeds for change, all of us, every one of us. And none of us should ever come to believe about ourselves that we don't care, or that there's nothing we can do, because we're just bursting with seeds of sweetness and goodness and love. And I am actually about to wrap it up. And so the last thing I want to say is that, so the bells and the pomegranates are in communication with each other. And then the bell perhaps was less like an alarm bell and more like music, as you taught us, Jude, more like music. And music brings together one sound with other sounds. It's a sound that invites in other sounds. As Cantor Breitzer invited all of our kids earlier today to sing with him, music invites all of us, and everybody can contribute to music. It's not just one sound. And when we make music out of sound, turn it from an alarm into a song, well, then that lifts us all up together, and we all know there's a role to play in the collective harmony. We bring all of those seeds in us, all of that goodness, and we can be inspired to feel and remember that we are in service of something bigger. And everybody has a voice to add to the sound that we make together. May we raise our voices in this time. May we give everything we can give to support the people of Ukraine, to help the refugees. May we make space here in our homes for all the refugees of the world. This is actually Refugee Shabbat. May we remember the 26 million refugees of the world and make space in our homes for all of them, make space in our home communities, in our neighborhoods. We do that here at CBE. May we remember that we are full of seeds of goodness, of mitzvot that we have in us, all of us. We're bursting with the potential to help the world. May we turn alarms into music in which we all can believe in our ability to make the world how it should be. Shabbat Shalom, and Yachad, you are off to class.
Let's wait, Rabbi Timon. Maybe there's a member of the Yachad faculty, like Emily, who's offering instructions
Tell
about
us
where to go
where
and
we're
what to do.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody, and Yeshua Koach Jude. So third graders, we're going to get ready to dismiss you first from the side door with Ellie. All third graders can head to the side door, and fifth graders can head back with Karen to the main door. Fourth and sixth, hang tight for a sec. We're going to have third graders go first out the side door, and fifth graders at the back door with Karen. All right, third graders are heading out. You guys are heading downstairs with Ellie. And next up, fourth graders are gonna head over with Jess. And following the fifth graders are gonna be sixth graders with Aaron. Aaron is waving his arms back there, and he is gonna lead you all across the street for sixth grade. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Parents, we'll see you at 12 for pickup.
I wonder if everyone can hear the sounds of the space. I wonder if everyone leaving this space can notice how the sound changes when you're inside the room versus when you're outside. I wonder if you can hear the sound waiting in line expectantly to exit.
We're ready to return the Torah to the Ark. I'm going to invite Jude. I'll go get him. I'm going to invite him to have a special moment of blessing at the Ark. And I ask everyone to please rise.
Page 374. Hey Jude, can you pick up Ephraim over here on the bima? Jude, can you get Ephraim, the little Torah? Can you bring it back too? Thank you. Etz Chaim hi lamachazikim ba v'tomechea me'usha derachea darchei Noah bechol netivotea shalom hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva chadesh yameinu standing, page 586 at the bottom. Aleinu l'shabeach. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol. לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. 591 ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד ושמו אחד. Please be seated.
We always end our time together by thinking of the people we love whom we've lost. And I know that for Jude's family is thinking about Linda and Jeffrey Wax, Jude's grandmother and uncle. And I know there are actually many other mourners in the room this morning, I recognize. And I want to invite you, whether you're in the room or on Zoom, if you're remembering somebody in different stages of mourning, to rise and say that person's name out loud. If you are here in Shiva, if this is the first week since the death of someone you love, I invite you to rise and tell us who you're remembering. And if this is Shloshim, if you're in the first 30 days since the death of a loved one, I invite you to rise and tell us who you're remembering. And if this is Shana for you, if you're in the first year since the death of a loved one, I invite you to rise and tell us who you're remembering. And if this is a yahrzeit for you, the anniversary of a death, I invite you to rise and tell us who you're remembering. And I'm remembering the yahrzeit of my father, Eli Timoner. We all rise in company with those who are in mourning. And we turn to the words of the Mourner's Kaddish on page 598. Oh, and first I read the names of all the people. Sorry. Recent losses. Bernard Jeffrey, father of Peter and Nancy Jeffrey, father-in-law of Carla Weiss and Daniel Cohen, and grandfather of Kate, Alana, and Jessica, whose funeral will be tomorrow. Ethel Weissman, grandmother of Brian Ezra. Florence Kasakov, mother of David Kasakov, mother-in-law of Yael Kasakov, and grandmother of Sophie. Dr. David Rabia, father of Naomi Rabia, father-in-law of David Goldberg, and grandfather of Martin. Rana Heller, mother of Risa Heller, mother-in-law of Ryan Tuhi, and grandmother of Vivian, Ezekiel, and Penelope. Gilda Frisch, mother of Jeffrey Frisch, mother-in-law of Stacy Ovadia Frisch, and grandmother of Claudia and Evan. Isaac Steinberg, father of Stephanie Steinberg, father-in-law of Daniel Schachter, and grandfather of Alana. Raymond Feinland, father of Laura Feinland Katz, father-in-law of Stephen Katz, and grandfather of Joshua. David Sarfati, father of Jared Sarfati, and father-in-law of Elena Satin. These yahrzeits: Julius Altschul, Joseph Baker, Yehoshua Bareket, Stephen Baumrin. Barbara Bell, Helen Stein Kaplan, Arlene Cohen, Philip Cohen, Louis DeRosa, Charles Diener, Cyril First, Sarah Freed, Ann Glauber, Adam Goldberg, Otto Golliber, Lynn Gore, Florence Golliber Grossman, Jay Harnick, Beatrice Zimmerman Harris, Arnold Heller, Jay Hessman, Nissim Israel, Jean Jacobs, Pearl Janowitz, Barbara Kaufman, Rosa Kelt, Ross King, Gertrude Clayman, Hattie Copps, Abraham Kusnek, Jerome Lawrence, Minnie Levine, Beatrice Levine, Louis Lissack, Hannah Mayhol, Lucille May, George Moss, Fanny Nachman, Bert Nachman, Sylvia Nathan, Raymond Nazer, Samuel Newman, Sophie Newman, Richard Niederhofer, Helen O'Neill, Martin Pollock, George Raphael, Ella Rosen, William Rosenfeld, Julia Rosenstock, Lisa Samuel, Lawrence Schwartz, Priscilla Scherer, Lucille Silvey, Harry Simon, Milton Solomon, Saul Solo, Robert Starr Sterngas, Eli Timoner, Evelyn Unger, Rose Urich, Barnett Wald, Arthur Zimmer, Yetta Zupnik. Holding them all together, we say Zichronam Livracha. May their memories forever be a blessing. As we turn to the words of the Mourner's Kaddish now, on page 598. Yitkadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Be'alma divra chirute v'yamlich machute. V'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayedecho Beit Yisrael. V'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru. Amen.
Amen.
Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevarach Le'alam U'Lalmei Almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal Shmei Tukudesha Brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru. Amen.
Amen.
Yehi Shlama Rabba min Shemaya ve'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen.
Amen.
Oseh shalom b'mromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru. Amen. May the one who makes peace make peace for all who mourn. We say together.
Say Mazel Tov to Jude. You and your family, your friends and guests are invited now to make your way across the street to the boardroom where your celebration will continue. Oseh shalom bimroma, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru. Amen. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Oh, say shalom bimroma, oh yeah, shalom. Let's raise our voices in song. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, la la la. Even more, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, la 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 la, ya la 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 la.
We are going to continue with Kiddush in the social hall across the street. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone on Zoom. This concludes our service in the sanctuary. Mazel Tov.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Say Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Terry. Shabbat Shalom, Joanne.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone, in peace and good health. Amen.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Marilyn and Bill. Wishing you all a good day of rest. Bye-bye.
Shabbat Shalom to everyone from Minu and Rob.
Thumbs up. Okay, let's go. Jesus.
That was much shorter than I expected.
What?
That was much shorter than I expected. What an accomplishment for a person with autism to be able to do that. Jesus.